Variable, function, and class. These are the foundation of object-oriented programming. How a variable is declared, how a function is written, how these functions and variable are put inside classes to give character to an object is all about object-oriented programming. But before we go into that, let's talk a bit about print. Although I have not spoken anything about functions, which I am going to do it later, let me cover this print because we are going to use these print functions more often during the presentation. X equals to hello world. Then print X. What it is going to print? It's going to print hello world. Pretty simple. You pass whatever variable inside print X, print, it's going to convert that variable into a string and then output it to terminal. It could output to files as well. So let's see the signature of the print. The signature of print is value 1, value 2, multiple values. Then those values were separated by separators. A character is inserted at the end, and then we have file equals to sys.std out. So that is standard output, that is called monitor, your screen. And then flush equals to false, that is about buffer. If we categorize these arguments, then this is how it is. What we are going to print? The separator and defines how we are going to print it, where you are going to print it. Is it file or like notepad, or is it into your monitor? Then when? So you know there are two type of memories. One is fast memory, one is slow memory. Fast memory is your RAM, slow memory is your disk or SSD. The idea is not to interact with slow memory more often. That is, your disk and SSD, you shouldn't access them more frequently. The more frequently you access them, the slower become programming is, because these are slow memory. So there is an idea of buffer. Rather than writing everything one by one, you just write everything at one go to your slow memory. As always in any programming, we start with a hello world program. So here we will start with a hello world program. So print hello world. That's it. No program can be as simple as this. Okay. You give an input like hello world as a string and it produces the output hello world into the monitor. Alright. So if you want to use some other arguments, then or you want to format your output, then also you can do that. Let's put like this: x equals to 10, y equals to, let's say y is another variable, is equals to 20, and we want to print x comma y comma, here we can mention a separator. All right, and then put it like, let's say this. All right, so how it is going to print out? Let's see. 10, 20, the separator came in between. All right. Now if we want to end it in a certain way, then also what we can do, we can always put it like this, print x, y separator, and here we can put and equals to, let's say we put at the rate, so that we can see it. Okay, then alt enter, that is 10, 20 at the rate. That end character comes at the end of your stream. Alright, you could always replace it using /n, which is line feed, or any other character you wish. Alright, so this is a very brief introduction to print. Then we'll talk about function, variables and classes. Variable is a level reference to data, such as x equals to 10, temp equals to 99.9, name equals to Rama. Each variables have a data type. Okay, so if x equals to 10, then x is an integer type. Temp equals to 99.9, then temp is obviously float type. And name equals to Rama is a string, so name is a string type. So if you want to see the type of the variable, then just use the built-in type and put the variable inside it. So that will tell you the type of the variable that is being used. So various type of data type that are associated with variables are primitive data types, such as integer, boolean, float, string, and then we have derived data types such as complex, tuple, list, dictionary, set, and similarly some advanced data structures such as NumPy array and Panda data frame and Panda series. So variables could be ordered or unordered. Ordered means it is having an index. That means you can say, okay, this is the first element, that is the second element, third element, like that. That means it has an index running through its elements. That is ordered. If there is no index, that is unordered. That means in set you cannot say this is the first element of the set, that is the second element of the set. So that's why set is unordered, whereas list is ordered. Similarly, we have mutable and immutable. Mutable means the data is changed at the same location. That means the ID of the location doesn't change. Immutable means the data cannot be changed. So it means wherever the location is, it has to do some copy operations, and after that copy operations, then it creates a new location where the data is referenced to. So these are immutable data type. So out of mutable and immutable data type, immutable is always preferred in programming environment, also in multi-user environments. So always try to do some your programming using immutable variables rather than mutable variables. Mutable variables, as we said, it's fast. Immutable is slow, but immutable is more secure than mutable. Immutable in a multi-user environment, this immutableness of the data type of the data or of the variable gives it the security of not accidentally being changed by other. Functions. Function is a block of code. It is a input-output block. So there are some magic happens in that block. Alright. It takes an input and produce an output. For example, for a function, so this is basically the structure. Def is the keyword, def, then function, var1, var2. So these are basically the input to the function, and then whatever magic happens inside, then it returns a value. returns a value that could be any type of data type, like any primitive data type or any sort of derived or advanced data type. The function could have always return that. Function could also return objects. So it's like a block of code. The inputs is here var1 and var2, these are all inputs, and then it produces an output. Output is nothing but the return, that is one. The other thing that it outputs is anything that you write into console. So that is the whole purpose of a functions. You write something, it abstract away whatever you are writing inside, but you need to know what is the input to a function and what is its output. So if you know that much, that means you can write syntax for that function, but you must know the inside working of the function so that you know the semantics of it. Built-ins. So there are a lot of functions that we have been using so far, like type and print. So these are all built-ins. Built-ins means these functions are available by Python interpreter to all the programs. To see all the built-in functions that are available to your program, that is, you can always type dir built-ins, so that you can always get all the list of built-ins that is available to you during the programming. You may not explicitly include these functions, but they are always available to you for work. Alright, so this is built-ins. Then class. Class is all about abstraction. Alright, so here we are declaring a class dogs, and it contains attributes and behavior. All classes contain attributes and corresponding behaviors. Attributes are nothing but variables. These variables contains internal state of the class, okay, and then the behaviors are nothing but functions. How you manipulate those internal states? So you cannot go and straight away manipulate those attributes. Rather, you use these behaviors to manipulate the attributes. So that is all about class. Class by itself doesn't run, but for each class you have to create an object. Okay, once you create an object, that object occupies some memory. Until you create an object, the class is just a structure or just a piece of code having no usage. Alright, once you create an object, that is called instantiation. Once you instantiate a class, you can use the class in your program. Let us understand these abstractions a bit. Suppose we have species, like there are birds, owl, bats, peacock, and then lions, elephant, cow, and a crow. Okay, now if you segregate it, then you can always get, see, birds having wings, and then you have animals having 4 legs. Alright, so this is basically, during abstractions, you took away 2 things, like having wings or having 4 legs, you took away. Then what remains? These are all species. Alright, so when you go to detail, then you produce some sort of different objects. Alright, so these birds and animals are child to species. Alright, or we say the species abstracts away the speciesness from these animals. Alright, so this species is parent of both birds and animals. Now when you create classes, you create classes like class for species, and then the child class is going to be your bird, or you can say it inherits the species. Alright, similarly, animal is another class which inherits properties of species. Alright, all these things, all these species, they can move. So this movement quality, and they have life. This movement and life, these two quality are inherited from the parents, and they are both present in the child classes. Further, the child classes can be split into various form of form of classes. For example, in birds you can put night birds and day birds. Alright, based on their, if you detail it out, you can create that way. So the night birds and day birds are going to be inherited class of the birds. So this is how the abstraction works. And class, when you create it, you must know that accordingly we are creating we have some abstract notion of the real world situations. Alright, and out of those classes we create objects.